The Richland County Sheriff's Department is in trouble with the federal government. Court documents say Sheriff Leon Lott traded away 2 airplanes that weren't his to trade.
Now the department is at risk of losing millions of dollars of equipment. Our Chad Mills is investigating tonight. Chad?
Well, Judy, Charles, as you know, police militarization has been in headlines a lot over the past year. The Defense Logistics Agency is part of the United States Department of Defense, and an office within that agency is responsible for lending out surplus military equipment to civilian law enforcement agencies. That's the case. The Richland County Sheriff's Department participates in that program, but is now suspended because one of their latest acquisitions has landed them into quite a bit of trouble. The C-23 Sherpa is an aircraft capable of higher altitudes and longer distances than helicopters. It's a plane primarily used to transport troops, but also an aircraft that the Richland County Sheriff's Department was, at one point, interested in. And it's a plane that legal expert Dr. Greg Adams says has landed Richland County and Sheriff Leon Lott in hot water with the federal government.
Very serious trouble, which could make a huge difference in the budget of the Richland County Sheriff's Department.
Court documents say back in June 2013, the Department of Defense provided 2 Sherpas to Richland County as part of the federal government's 1033 program, a program that transfers excess military equipment like guns, armored vehicles, and aircraft to law enforcement agencies. A court filing submitted by the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois says just 6 days after getting the planes, Sheriff Lott made an exchange and use agreement with a private aviation company west of Chicago to swap the 2 Sherpas and eventually their titles for one Cessna Stationair, which the contract says is an aircraft better suited for most operations conducted by the department than the Sherpas, including drug surveillance.
Unless you have a lot of experience in that area with those kinds of transactions, it's difficult to foresee what can go wrong.
And the trade did go wrong. The U.S. government says it wasn't aware of the swap until roughly a year and a half later, January of this year. Court filings say the FAA notified the feds of the possible misuse. In those documents, the government contends the 2 Sherpa aircraft are still U.S. government property and have always been U.S. government property, and that Sheriff Lott violated a memorandum of agreement by improperly trading the planes to a private company.
It's like if your daddy let you borrow his pickup truck and you took it down to Honest John's used car lot and traded it for a fancy convertible, because that'd be more fun to drive. Daddy's not going to be very happy with that. And that is what the situation is right here.
In fact, the first page of the memorandum submitted as evidence by the U.S. Attorney reads, quote, "Property will not be obtained for the purpose of sale, lease, rent, exchange, or barter." At the request of the federal government, the Richland County Sheriff's Department emailed the private company demanding the planes be returned to Columbia. Quote, "Failure to comply with this request will result in the deregistration of these aircrafts." An attorney for the Sheriff's Department wrote in an email this past February to the private Illinois-based company Win-Win Aviation. But Win-Win fought back with a lawsuit.
This is the sort of case where the facts are clear and the law is clear, and the parties, I'm sure, will work out a settlement that's to everyone's advantage.
In the suit, the company, Win-Win, says it spent more than $1 million on modifications and upgrades on the 2 Sherpa planes after trading the Cessna to Sheriff Lott in the seemingly legit agreement. Win-Win, which contracts out planes to members of the public and branches of the military, says without the Sherpas, it'll have to cancel agreements with clients. Win-Win says if the government takes back the planes, it'll cause irreparable harm to the company's business operations.
Win-Win is also saying that Sheriff Lott told Win-Win that he had already gotten approval from the government for this transaction. The government disputes that.
Meanwhile, Richland County and Sheriff Lott can't get any more rifles, armored vehicles, or planes from the federal government for now.
And that's because the Sheriff's Department has been suspended from the government program that gives them excess military equipment. And that was the case when we last heard from the federal government about 30 minutes ago. Currently, the government's Law Enforcement Support Office is reviewing whether Richland County should be removed from suspension or be terminated from the program altogether. If Richland County is terminated from the program, they'd have to give back everything they've ever received as part of that program, including guns, armored vehicles, and helicopters. Back to the lawsuit, latest court filings indicate a settlement is in the works. Sheriff Leon Lott says he couldn't do an interview at this point, but did send us this statement. It says, quote, "It is not appropriate for me to publicly discuss this issue in that it is still in litigation, and we are waiting for a judge to sign off on the negotiated agreement, which we expect in the very near future. I can say, though, that at no time did Richland County Sheriff's Department do anything illegal or improper. All equipment obtained by RCSD through the 1033 program remains in our possession and is used for the safety and security of Richland County citizens and our law enforcement partners. We remain a big supporter of the 1033 program and are very grateful for the equipment we have obtained over the years. We will continue to participate in the 1033 program for the benefit of our citizens and our deputies," unquote. Sheriff Lott also told us that he disputes the federal government's claim that he traded the planes only 6 days after getting them. He says they traded them after having them for months, and says again that the trade was done properly. And Judy and Charles will have much more coming up at 11 o'clock.
All right, Chad Mills, thank you very much.